All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Toon podcast. We are the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best dedicated podcast to all things Newcastle United. And today I've got Bobby joining me all the way from Victoria. How are you doing, mate?
Good, Craigie. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's coming to the end of the week, which means there's more football on the horizon. Champions League draws not too far off. Lots of exciting times for Newcastle. And today we are going to mainly cover the Brighton match for this weekend. But first of all, before we get into anything, just want to give a shout out to every one of our followers and subscribers on YouTube. If you don't already, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us out massively, get bigger and better guests, and it just helps build the channel moving forward. So again, if you don't do so already, please do so. And if you're on our audio platforms, leave us a comment, 5-star review. Again, helps us out massively on that one. But we're going to jump straight in this one. I'm not going to dive straight into the Brighton review just yet because there's one or two talking points to get. And the first one is Jamal Lascelles. So it was reported a few days ago that on the early hours of the morning of the 20th, Jamal, his younger brother, who I believe is 19 years old, plus a few other friends, were out somewhere in the city centre. Not sure exactly where. I haven't read the full report. But about 4 o'clock in the morning, his group was sat upon by a group of other lads who threatened to shoot him, apparently. Whether there's any truth in that, I don't know. But then a little brawl broke out, or mini brawl, whatever you want to call it. And Jamal apparently took a punch to the head from the back of the head. And it looked like he was trying to defend his younger brother. What do you make of this incident, Bobby? And what ramifications do you think it could have on Jamal as not only Newcastle player, but also as the club captain?
First of all, nothing ever happens good at 4 a.m. after a drink. So stop wandering the city at 4 a.m. That's one piece of advice. But look, I don't think it's anything Jamal. Like, he's obviously got caught in a situation that you ideally wouldn't want him to be. But his brother, they were out celebrating something with his friends, and they got into a bit of bother with a group of thugs, really, or a group of nomads. So these things are unfortunate, but I think the club's dismissed any action against Jamal or any wrongdoing as well. So I think we just put it down to, hey mate, just if you're out at 4 a.m, you're a millionaire, go get some bodyguards or get a taxi or a limo or whatever is available and get the hell out of the club via the rear door or something like that.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm surprised they have any minders or handlers or whatever you want to call them around them. You'd imagine most people who've got a few coin in the bank would do that type of thing. But we've all been in that situation where we've all been out in the town, city centre, wherever it is, 4 a.m. Like I said, there's all sorts of life roaming the streets. Who knows what happens, what the full link of the story is. No doubt will come out in a police report or anything. But so far, no arrests have been made. I'll put my teeth in. No arrests have been made. So far, so good. Maybe nothing will come of it. Maybe it'll just be a case of, it was just a bit of push and shoving. The odd punch was thrown. Nobody was seriously hurt. And nothing will happen. I can't see this affecting Jamal as player and or captain of the club, to be honest. Can you see anything like that happening to him?
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine for Jamal. I don't think it's going to impact anything that he's doing at the moment. So we just sort of move on once the police report comes out and everything is a bit more, available in terms of information. We can declare it then. But, I mean, if the club's already met with him and said, no, he's in the clear, he's fine, we support him, I think they know the story, and it's nothing to do with him.
Yeah, he's not like the first Newcastle player ever to cause controversy after midnight hours on the big market or anything I could see. Kieran Dyer, Danny Simpson, they are all to name a few.
And I mean, like, you have Sunderland players in a car drunk smashing up other cars. So
yeah,
there was nothing serious like that, luckily, and no one got hurt, luckily. So you just put it down and say, move on, and next time, mate, use your brains a bit and get out of there as quick as possible.
Yep, absolutely. No, totally agree. So we'll move on with that. Didn't want to drag on to that relatively sour subject for too long. And we're going to talk about the cup draw. So that happened the early hours of this morning for us. And we obviously want to get to another cup final. And the domestic cup finals are probably going to be our best chance of trophy again this season, you reckon, Bobby?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can dream of Champions League or Europa Cups as much as we want, but I think we got to the final hurdle last year with the League Cup and wasn't to be, but we would have thought this year that would have been our best chance for silverware. And then the draw happened.
Yeah, so we got Man City at home on Monday, the 25th of September. Now, to be honest, I'm actually pleased we've drawn Man City this early in the competition. I'd much rather play them in the third round than in the semi-finals, because you know they're then going to put out the strongest team they can possibly have on available to them, because they've got a chance of winning silverware. Chances are they'll play the kids, and Eddie might do the same thing as well, or you might think, you know what, let's go for this cup again, let's push it out. And it could be effectively men against boys, but Man City, they've effectively not got one, but two, but three squads available to them. So it should be a good game. It'll be interesting to see what teams both are out on the field. But your thoughts on getting Man City this early, Bobby?
I laughed when it came out. I thought, oh, yep, typical. And your first instinct is, oh, shit, all right, that's us out. But then you forget that we're a different Newcastle United for the one under Mike Ashley. You know, it's a bit of a positive too, Craigie, because if we can get the win against Man City, it'll open up for us, and the chances of going far, the odds get greater. So, look, I think where we're at now, we've got to look at it as a positive and a challenge. Whether they play kids or not, I don't know. Pep's got a lot of respect for us. After the last game, you know, he said we were very we had to play defensive because if we opened up, Newcastle would have destroyed us. I think he's got a lot of respect. So whether he plays a lot of the kids or not, time will tell. But whatever it is, it's at home, so it gives us a good chance. And if we do knock them out, then, you know, we might go one further this year.
Yeah, so it's a 5:30 Saturday evening kickoff in the UK for that one. I believe so. Or I'm not even sure if it's been selected for TV yet, but at that time you'd think it would be. So it'll be interesting because we don't get much early cup game coverage over here, as far as I remember. So that'll be interesting to see if that one is televised. Probably be picked by BN or something like that over here. We'll have a look on that one. But yeah, that's a few weeks away. So we will keep an eye on that one for any returning players or anything like that too. So we're going to move now on to the Brighton preview. So this Brighton game, it is this Saturday, 2:30 a.m. in the morning for us, Bobby. Another crazy morning kickoff on a long list of crazy morning kickoffs for the start of the season. I don't think we've got a traditional 3 p.m. UK kickoff until I think it's the Forest game, which is, I think that's early October or something like that. So it's stupid how many games we're getting up at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, just so we can watch 11 men run around chasing a bag of air, you know? It's a bit crazy, but that's what we do.
And this is the worst time because it's just started again, so our body clocks aren't quite used to getting up at this time. We've had a few sleep-ins or early nights. One season was out, but season comes back in and you got to train your body again on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning to get up at whatever time in the morning to watch Newcastle, and it's hard work for the rest of the week when you're this old. So, yeah,
especially for all those Newcastle fans back home or anywhere else in the world. If you ever got up to watch Newcastle play in the summer series and it was stupid o'clock in the morning, imagine doing that for all these 46 games this season. That's basically what we're going to be going through. It's hard work, but we love it. We wouldn't change it for the world for where we are, but it does take a toll on the body come the end of the season, that's for sure. But this game, it is at the Amex. Now, we haven't had great success at the Amex. We haven't actually won there since the 16-17 promotion season from the Championship, where Mo Diarmé scored the greatest goal in the history of goals of Newcastle United. Make Shearer's volley against Everton look like a 2-yard tapping. What were your thoughts on that game? And did you get to see that one live over here at all?
Yes, absolutely. I was watching it live over here. I remember that quite fondly because Brighton were the challengers, weren't they? Or, well,
they were.
It was us and Brighton were the two out front. So it was a big game and a massive result. So, yeah, that goal that went in, you sort of didn't believe it. I remember not cheering because I'm like, what happened there. The ball's in the net, but I don't know how it got there. So
yeah,
some great battles, but in all seriousness, both clubs have done tremendously well to get from that point in the championship to where they are now. Both challengers for the top four, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree with on that one. Yeah, both clubs have come on leaps and bounds. We've obviously had the takeover. That's a huge part of our recent success. But Brighton, they're a club that are just run 100% in the right way. I know you've waxed lyrical about the way Brighton have functioned since Ashworth was back there. You're a big fan of the way Brighton are set up, is that right, Bobby?
Yeah, I think more than anyone else on the pod, I stick up for them, and I think they do things the right way. I think if you're a club and you buy a club in the championship, you'd look for that model and how Brighton sort of conduct themselves, and where they go into the market. They sell players at top dollar and they buy players from outside the big leagues and develop them and then bring them in. So they've done tremendously well, and the business case stacks up. You look at where they are, like people can talk about whatever they want to talk about, but you've got Brighton and Hove Albion, a contender for, well, if not the top four, the top six. And they were very good last year as well towards it until the end. So, no, I've got greatest respect for them. I love their manager as well. I think he's a really good manager. And this one's going to be a tough one, Craig. I think this one's going to be, really tough, and we need points.
Yeah, so last season it was a 0-0 stalemate there, with Pope pulling off. I think he got voted goal save of the season with that diving down to his left-hand side from that headed attempt. And we had a goal wrongfully disallowed, if I remember, in that one, with Callum Wilson with the high foot when he was a good 4 or 5 yards away from the play. So it should never have been disallowed on that one. But since that game in the Championship where we won 2-1, we have yet to win at the Amex since both clubs have met in the Premier League. So we played 6 games down there. We've only scored 2 goals in those 6 games. We've conceded 6, and we've only taken 4 points from a possible 18. So since both clubs come to the Premier League, it's a bit of a bogey ground for us, I suppose. There's definitely the odd 1 or 2 for us, but trips don't come much tougher than a trip down to the South Coast in the Seagulls on their home turf. But however, West Ham, they kind of proved that myth wrong by going there last weekend and coming out a surprising 3-1 winners. Nobody had that one on the cards, I'd imagine.
No, and if you looked at the stats, without the score, you would have thought Brighton have absolutely belted them 8-0 or something like that, but wasn't to be. And it just goes to show you the XG and the possession and all that sort of stuff that, it's good to be data-led, but sometimes it's just about the opportunities and taking them. And that's the big thing that worries me at the moment. We're not taking advantage of the opportunities we get. And we saw it in the Liverpool game. We should have been, 2-3 up. We didn't take advantage of that and got sucker punched at the end. West Ham took their chances. I think they only had the chances that they got to score, and they took them, and that was the game. So in another week, Brighton win that 4-5-0 because they were the much better team on the day. So the one thing I'll be looking forward to watching with us is taking advantage, and I think that goes with my team I've selected.
Yeah, we'll get to your guess of a lineup or your choice of a starting 11 shortly. Now, coming off the back of that defeat against Liverpool, obviously it was another injury time winner. I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But if you're Eddie Howe, how do you motivate these players for a trip down there to a stadium that we've had very little success against in the past?
I think it's easy to motivate. That loss should sit in the pits of our stomach on every single player that played in that game. That's a game that they won't forget. Hopefully it'll carry them for the rest of the year. That, that was, like last season against Liverpool, it really hurt. So it's us against the world. I think Eddie's very good at having this mentality that, it's us versus the refs versus the media versus the other opposition teams. And so it'll be this week and going down to an Amex with the happy clappers. Not the most intimidating fans, but
no,
still it's a hard place to go in terms of getting results for us. I think that'll give the motivation enough the players should have. And we know we've got a great bunch of lads. So hopefully that's enough to put in a performance. Whether it is able to get the result, we'll wait and see though.
Yeah, so we've already played Brighton this season, I suppose, over in the summer series in the States, where we came out 2-1 winners, where Elliot Anderson, who's just got his first call for the Scottish senior squad, so well done to Anderson on that one. He scored the 2 goals in what I think was, quite surprisingly and quite fitting, an injury time winner in that game right there. So hopefully I wouldn't mind seeing the same again. Anderson hasn't quite had the rub of the green since the Premier League kicked off again. He's not really getting the game time we all wanted. But with the central midfield players we've got, are you surprised or expected him to have a lot more bench time still?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, this is where depth and all that you build. I don't know if we expected Elliot Anderson to have the preseason he did.
Yeah.
And then he has. It's probably given us a lot of questions, but you can't not start Sandro Tonali and Bruno and Jolinton. I mean, that midfield picks itself until it doesn't. It's getting to that point,
Yeah.
We've had 2 losses in a row. A third loss, then I think Eddie will have to say, I've got to do something and change it up a little bit more. I think he can with other parts of the team and, one big injury loss as well. But I think the midfield, unfortunately for Elliot, is just too hard a nut to just crack this way. But he's just got to keep his positivity up, because a few more bad results, I think he'll get his chance. And I'm itching for it, because I think he's a wonderful talent and a wonderful player.
Do you see him more of a central midfielder now, or would you still like to see him out on the wing?
No, I see him more as a central midfielder. I think that's his best go. He can play both. I won't be upset. But again, out on the wings, I think we've got more than enough out there that are doing okay. But it's a central midfield, I think, where the names are, I suppose, like, your Tarnalis and your Brunos and your Jolintons, and they can't be dropped until they can be dropped. So until the results aren't going, that's where they can. That's where his opportunities, I think, will lie, and I think he's better suited there anyway.
Yeah, I'm very surprised how well he made the transition into central midfield, to be honest, because he played pretty much, I can't remember if it was a full season or the second half of the season, where he was at Bristol, where he literally, that's where he got the title of Geordie Maradona. He spent a lot of time out on the wing there, and I thought that may have been his perfect position. But obviously, Eddie's seen something in him, brought him inside a little, and we've got another creative central midfielder. And when he's came on over the last 2 games, yes, we lost the games. He's actually, again, not knocked out of place with the players he's been up against, and he's actually had a well-earned contribution to the game, albeit we didn't get the result we were after. So he is still one for the future. He is still raw. Hopefully, the little bit of international experience he gets is just going to boost his confidence a little bit more, and just going to push his potential a little bit further. Now, getting on to Brighton, they don't have a team of superstars, but yet they've got a team that just know how to play football, a well-drilled team, just like how Newcastle are. And some of the players they've got with the likes of Matoma, Ferguson, Pascal Gross, that's everything. They've got a lot of talent in there, but they've also got some experience with the purchase of James Milner in the summer. Is that something you're surprised at? They're going for a bit of experience, albeit they've got European football as well?
I think that's why they brought in a bit of experience, because you can. The thing I love about Brighton, and now us as well, is we're system-based football clubs. So you don't buy players because of their name, even if you're trying to. You don't buy the player to fit into the team that won't work for them. You're getting players that absolutely, if you're getting a Barnes, well, he's coming into this position because that's the way our system plays, and he's going to benefit that for us and for him. And Brighton do exactly the same. They won't buy a player just because of a big name or what have you. So, I mean, their purchases and their transfer business is out of this world. I think getting a Milner, who we know is an unreal character. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He sets the culture. He's got experience. He's a European Cup winner, everything like that. So bringing a guy in like that, even if he doesn't play every week, is going to be good for the squad, and especially because Brighton have a lot of young players. It can only be a positive thing, and I think it's something that's not utilised enough as well.
Now, the way Brighton are run and structured, do you see this as being long term, or do you think they'll get to a point where it's almost like self-destructive, where they sell too many of their players and that production line of talent they've got just runs out and the club then starts to stutter and falls down the table? You think that's a potential worry? Because they owed something like £400 million to their owner. He bankrolled them something a good few years ago, and it was an interest-free loan, similar to Ashley done to us, I think it was. But do you see it as a way to continue for the club, or will it have to change and develop and evolve like others have had to?
Well, there's a couple of points there. The first one is their owner is a Brighton nut, like he loves the club. He's not like Mike Ashley, where we all fear that one day he's just going to go, "Hey, I want my money. I don't care if I blow the club up and bankrupt you and you go down to the League One." This won't happen with Tony Bloom. It never will. I've read stuff on him. He's just an absolute Brighton nutter. The other point is, will the continual policy of selling high and buying low, there's always risk in that, because you don't know. You are buying kids or young talent from outside the Premier League or outside England. So there's always a risk that they won't come in and play to their potential, or they'll be homesick or something like that. So there always is that risk. But at the end of the day, as I said, they're led by a system. They know what their right backs have to do. They know what their left backs have to do. They know what their central midfielders have to do. So they look at the talent and go, yep, that kid or that young guy can play that position because all his strengths are exactly what we need to play that position. So they develop it. And they don't ever buy players. They don't buy a lot of players and then bring them in and send me out to the Wolves straight away. They buy them. They loan them to a league. They're very smart, developing, and then they bring them out. I had a look at the amount of talent that they've bought in the last few years that aren't with their squad at the moment. And it's huge, and it's all playing all over the world, but they've got an endless pit now. They're sort of doing what Chelsea do, but obviously better, where Chelsea don't really have a system. But yeah, going back to your question, I think there's always a risk that the young talent they sell isn't going to be as good as the young talent they buy isn't going to be as good as the talent they sell. But so far, it's been working for them.
Yeah, I mean, they've got enough coin in the bank to keep them going for a good number of years anyway. And if they do need to go buy that experienced player who's got X amount of Premier League games under his belt, they've got the money to do so. It's just whether they've got the wage structure to be able to push higher. Because I can't imagine they get the highest gate receipts or anything like that, and their income apart from transfers isn't going to be that high, because they're not going to get the best shirt deals or anything like that, the best sponsor or anything. So their income purely has to be transfer based, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's how they run, and they know their place. Like you talk to their people, they don't expect to be like what we have been, where we get transformed and we know we can be one of the biggest clubs in Europe just because of the size of the club and the fan base and everything like that, and the name. They know that they'll never reach those heights, but what they can do is box clever and continually box this level. And FFP won't ever be a concern for them, because they're probably, bloody well in front in that respect because of what they've sold and how they do their business. So, and they've got another one that, is rumoured, Ferguson up top, that'll be a 150 million player soon. So, look, all credit to them. I love seeing this story because it is showing that, you look at them and then you look at Man United. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was going to
David and
use them as an
Goliath.
example. Yeah,
It's like David and Goliath, mate. But which model would you take? Which club would you want to go to right now? And that's an easy question. It's Brighton because of the way they do things, and full credit to them.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. So we're going to get to the lineups now. Now, Brighton being the home team, they go first. I'm just going to bring that up there. This lineup is the same starting 11 that was defeated by West Ham, as mentioned previously. So I'll run through this for those that are on the audio. So in goal, they've got their new goalkeeper, Verbruggen. Don't know much about him, to be honest. Haven't seen much of him play. And I'm going to try and pronounce this Estepinian on his left back. Dunk, Webster, and Milner making up the rest of the back four. Milner against Anthony Gordon could be canny, tasty, fair. Milner running up steam with his age, catching up with him. And Gordon just eats Duracell batteries for breakfast, just keep those legs going. And we've got Gilmore, Pascal Gross, Matoma, Welbeck, Solly March in the midfield, and Evan Ferguson up top. Of those players there, Bobby, you mentioned before Evan Ferguson, but Matoma, he's another player that really excites me. I don't know what you think of him.
Oh, love him. And I was listening to Ange Postecoglou's take on him during the week on how he was a uni student, how they found him, and all this sort of thing. He's been a great success story, and he's a wonderful, wonderful player. I think he's one of the better ones. And they're about to sign a new one in Fati from Barcelona, which is
I read about that.
Quite extraordinary to get that young talent from Barca. So, look, wonderful player, Midamar, Ferguson, Solly March, great players. I think if I'm looking at that lineup, I'm thinking Milner at right back with our wing players. I think that's an area. I don't know too much about their keeper either. There's a couple of spots there that I think we can identify to take. I think Eddie will be very keen on. I can't say the left back's name like you. He's in my fantasy team. He has been since I started, and he's never coming out because he's a great scoring player. He's a wonderful player. So, but I think Eddie would have identified a couple of gaps in their system that we can sort of get at, and hopefully we can take advantage this week.
Milner, as well experienced as he is, his age will be creeping up to him, and you'd think Gordon will have the legs on him pretty much that entire 90 minutes if Gordon starts, which I think he would because he had a blinding game against Liverpool. But yeah, they've got a lot of threats in their squad. They've got a lot of talent. Again, they're a well-drilled team and know when to press, know when to go on the counter. But getting on to our starting 11. Now, this is Bobby's own choice, not what he thinks Eddie will go with. So I'll let you go through this 11 and let us know in the comments below if you think you would go with the same.
Yeah, okay. So this is what I'd go with, and there's a couple of risks, or one risk anyway. So we've got Pope in goals. We've got Trippier at right back. Shah. Byrne comes in for the injured Botman at left back. I think that's an easy slide. And then I would debut Lewis Hall at left back. I think he's a wonderful talent, and I will crevice this by saying he hasn't had many starting minutes or many minutes for Chelsea. He has come off the bench a couple of times in the preseason, but I think he's got the talent and he's got the ideal way we'd like to play this game. Then we got Tonali, Bruno, and Big Joe. And we've switched it around here, and I've got Gordon, Isaac up top, and Barnes.
Now, a few questions on there. Your reasoning for bringing Barnes in on the left and switching Gordon to the right? Your reasoning behind that one, Bobby?
I think we just need to change it up. I think Almiron is getting a lot of stick online, and I don't feel that way. I think he works hard. He's done a lot of good, and he was a wonder save away from putting the game to bed against Liverpool. So it's fine margins there. But as I said to you, Craig, I think we've been a team that hasn't taken advantage of our chances. And I just think Barnes comes in, and Barnes is a very good goal scorer in comparison. I think he finishes his chances more. And I think watching the way we play when Barnes comes in, and, again, we were Barnes assist away from Wilson from winning that game as well. So, and Eddie looks like a genius when they sub. So I think Barnes opens up the space, which allows Isaac to, do what he does and has more space in the box and around the goals. So you won't drop Gordon. I think he's been our best player. He's phenomenal and everything we thought he would be. So I just want to change it up. And the other point is, if it's 0-0 in the 70th, 80th minute, then I'd like Almiron's legs as well to come on and dart around and cause some headaches.
Now, there's talk that even Big Joe might miss this game. He did go off with a slight knock in the Liverpool game. If he wasn't fit enough to start the game, who would you bring in for him?
I think we talked about this bloke before. I'd bring in Anderson.
You would? You bring him over Longstaff?
I would. I think Longstaff replaces Tonali on that side of the thing. So I think Anderson for Big Joe.
Yeah, that'd be a good shout if Joe can't make it, and it could be the start and the opportunity that Anderson does need to get himself in that starting lineup. Because as we know, Eddie will reward form over the name. So we will see on that one. That'll be an interesting one to see when the team sheets are announced just before kickoff. One other thing on that one there, Isak had a very quiet game for his standards anyway against Liverpool, apart from the sending off, obviously. Were you tempted to bring in Wilson for this one?
Always tempted to bring in Wilson because he scores goals. I just think in this game, Brighton, we've talked about it endlessly on our chats, how
We have.
Liverpool played that low block, especially, when they went down a man, and we just couldn't break down, and it didn't suit the way we played. It didn't suit Isak at all. Brighton won't play that way. Brighton will open it up, give us chances, give us space, and I think Isak's got that pace, and even with the ball, he's got that guile to sort of break that down more than Wilson. Again, like Almiron, if it's close towards the 70th minute, he's a good option off the bench to see if we can sucker punch a goal or do something like that. But I think with the way I imagine the game going, the same way West Ham took their chances and opened up Brighton, I think Isak will be better at doing that with the likes of Barnes and Gordon than what Wilson will be from the start. But I'm not going to complain if Wilson gets a starting gig because I know that he's got a goal in him. So it is what it is. It's a good situation to be in.
It is, yeah. It's a perfect headache, perfect storm. The only person missing really is going to be Joe Willock when he gets back into the mix to see where he fits in, or if he's going to be another bench player like what Longstaff is at the minute. But he's not expected back until I believe after the international break. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. And if we look back to the game towards the end of the season when we beat them 4-1, we were 2-0 up at halftime. They scored just after the break. They tried everything under the sun to try and break us down. But we were just like a premium boxer, just absorbing everything they threw at us, every punch, everything they tried to give. And when they were absolutely knackered, we went for the sucker punch with that goal from Callum Wilson and Bruno. I think it was 2 goals in 2 minutes, right at the death of the game. Brighton have the talent to score goals, but they don't seem to score many past us. As if we're almost their bogey team as well, Could you see the same thing happening? We take an early lead, sit back, absorb a lot of pressure, and then go for the juggler when they're all a little bit knackered?
That'd be great. That'd probably be ideal away from home. We can get the early goal and then take it. The only question I have is that Burn and Shah relationship, is different from the Botman Shah relationship. And I do have my worries about how they'll gel being together straight away. Anyone coming in to replace Botman, it's going to be hard. And it's not a slight on Burn. It's just a chemistry thing, like Botman and Shah have been together for ages. They know each other's ins and outs. When you are getting peppered and you don't have that chemistry, mistakes are made, gaps are left, you ball watch instead of track the man, all these sort of things. So that's the issue with that scenario. But, it's an ideal scenario, Craig. Anything that gives us the W, I'll take at this minute.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not going to bring up the Premier League table or anything because we're only 3 games in and the table's absolutely pointless at this stage of the season. When do you normally start to look at the table yourself, Bobby, and think this is how this is going to start panning out over the next set of games? When do you think the table starts getting interesting?
I think I like to look at it at the start of December because usually December is when, that Christmas period and everything, there's a lot of games, and I start looking at the fixture in depth and looking where we are and looking at, okay, well, out of this next 4, we'd like to get, at least 2 or 3 wins to get us into this position. So yeah, I'd say I'm not too interested in the table per se up until then, but for a club that's chasing Champions League again or top four, we can't afford too many more losses. So I mean, we've had 2 in a row. Yeah, if we lose this week and we have a bad result the week after, I'll start looking at the table and thinking, all right, well, how many points do we need to get to Champions League places? And that assessment will come a lot earlier than it usually does.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's only 3 Champions League places available because Man City are going to win the league. So they're going to take that first Champions League spot. Then there's just the other 3 with probably 6 teams fighting for those 3. So, the odds are against us, but they were last season for those 38 games, and we've done it. So there's nothing to say we can't. We just got to, those games that we had draws last year, which need to turn those ones into wins. And the points balance over the course of the 38 games could be higher if we can turn those draws into wins. But we're just going to give that a quick end there. I'll just get a quick prediction off you, Bobby, in terms of scoreline and goal scorer.
Okay. I'm actually predicting a loss. I'm going to say it'll be a 2-1 loss. And for the goal scorer, I'm going to say Barnes will score.
Barnes will score, and we're going to lose. Oh, come on, Bobby. You're supposed to be the positive one. It's Lee that's uber negative.
I can't see it. Maybe I'm respecting Brighton too much, and Jack may have a go at me because he laughs at Brighton. But I'm not very confident going into this week, and I don't know if it's just about that thing we spoke about, being able to take our chances. I just haven't seen it yet this season. So I hope I'm proven wrong. I'm not getting up at 2:30 in the morning to watch them, and not be proven wrong. But yeah, I will be waking up at 2:30 in the morning. So, but I'm not very confident.
So if a draw was offered you on a plate now, you'd take it?
I would, yeah.
You would? Well, I am actually going to go for a draw, and I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be a decent scoring game. I think both teams will play open, attractive football, and we will take our chances, but so will they. I think the defensive frailties we've got when Botman isn't there, just because he reads the game so well. It's not his lack of pace or anything. It is the way he reads it is just far better than anybody else we've got, and no one gets close to that one. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw, and I would be happy with a point down there because, like I say, we haven't won there in what's probably 6 years or so. But you never know. Good times they are coming back to this club, and 3 points down there wouldn't be an upset, obviously, because we are probably the better club on paper. But yeah, 3 points would be mint, but I'd gladly take a draw if handed. So that's going to do for the review there. We've just got a small matter of a certain competition drawing in the early hours of the morning. Bobby, I can't remember what the competition is.
What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's baffling. Maybe this will help jig with memories. What about this? No, it is it's something that we all love dearly and something that we've been waiting to come back. Bobby's crying.
Oh, it's good to hear that. For the first time in a lot of years, it's good to hear that song.
So, 2 a.m. this morning for us. I will be setting my alarm a little bit early, getting up to watch the draw. No idea what time the draw is actually happening. But it could be 4 o'clock in the morning, as far as I know. It may drag on and whatever. Not a clue. Haven't watched one in 20 years because I've not really had any interest in the group stage for obvious reasons. Now, Bobby, if there was one team you could be drawn against in this entire competition, who would it be and why? Just one team.
Oh, There's a few, but I'll say Real Madrid.
Real?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Teams don't come much bigger than Real, do they?
Yeah, just get the biggest dog in the shop, and let's go at them.
For me, it would be Dortmund, just because I want to see war flags against that yellow wall. And I just think that would be an incredible competition going between them. The atmosphere at Dortmund is phenomenal, as everybody knows. In St. James's, when it's rocking, is as good, if not better, in my opinion. And War Flags will try their best, but that yellow wall is something else, to be honest. It's one of the best displays in world football, as everyone knows.
I'm a Dortmund fan, mate, so I'm probably not wanting that fixture. I obviously prefer Newcastle to win the tie and everything like that, but yeah, it's probably one I want to avoid in the first bit.
Yeah, I'd say the same for Real, because I think they were just towering you, to be honest. They are just that good. But you never know. We've got our games at home, and I do believe we can beat anybody at home on our given day. So let us know in the comments below who your dream opponent would be for the Champions League draw, and we'll see who gets it right when it is announced in what is probably 6 hours' time or so from this recording, as we are now live. Anything you want to add to the Champions League draw? Anything, Bobby? Anything you want to shout out for?
No, I'm pumped. I'm absolutely pumped to get Champions League football back to St. James's Park, especially. Those nights would be rocking, and I'd give my left limb to be there watching at the time, but not to be. And we deserve it. We're a club that we are a Champions League club, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, I think my last Champions League memory, I may have one after this, but was Shearer's hat-trick against Bayern Leverkusen. The one thing I just remember that was just Shearer told an absolute new one. And I think that was his only Champions League hat-trick as well. So that's one of my best and last memories of that competition, and shows how long ago when Shearer was playing in it. But yeah, bring it on. Looking forward to it. Couldn't happen to a better club at a better time. And the draw is going to be absolutely epic. And we will be back tomorrow with a Champions League draw reaction pod. Both myself, Jack, and Mark will be on that one. Let us know in the comments again who you would like to get in that draw. If you have any questions for any of the lads on the pod, again, leave them in the comments. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us massively out if you don't do so already. And that will do from us tonight, Bobby. Thanks very much for joining us. And hopefully Toon can pick a win at the weekend, and we get a nice, easy group for the Champions League too. Come on.
See you guys.